Hello and welcome to the freezer farm. This used to be a two-car garage, but now this is the place where we store all of our frozen goods to take to market. Chicken, turkey, pork, beef, and eggs. Today Hillary's going to the Sunday market, so we're going to pack her up so that she's all ready to go. And then I have some work that I need to do on one of our old tractors. We'll head out to the barn where the tractor is. We can't put all of our equipment in the barn this time of year because we have hay in the barn. But I like to store whatever I can inside, keep the rain and the sun off of it. Especially with some of the older equipment that we've restored and painted. The old Farmall H, 1940. And the 504 that I used to pick up bales, that I think is a 62 or 63. And this is the one we're working on today. It's an International 656. It was built around 1972, and I've done quite a bit of work on it. So these days it's just minor things. And today we're going to take a look at these tie rod ends, because going down the road I've noticed that they've loosened up, so I bought some new ones and we're just going to put them on. Gotta warm up the glow plugs to start these old diesels. You can see how loose the tie rod ends are. When I rotate the steering wheel, you can see the play in the joint. I have the tie rod ends in the shop that I ordered online. And the great thing is, even though this tractor is 73, how old is it? 25, 35, 45 years old, just about. You can still get most anything that you need as far as replacement parts. And these were very reasonable. I was quite surprised. And if it's not available through one of the aftermarket suppliers, usually I can go to the dealer and they still stock or can order a lot of the things. This end of the shaft is tapered and it seats up into the hole that's on the link behind the wheel, and that's what holds it in tight, is getting drawn up onto that tapered shaft. So the next step is to take the old tie rods off and put these on. Taking things that have been on a tractor since it was built off sometimes are really difficult, but I don't think these will be too bad because they've been greased quite often when they were on there. And they should come right out with a little help maybe from a hammer. Took a little convincing, but off it came. I wouldn't be beating on the end of a bolt with a sledgehammer unless I knew it was going to go in the trash, because it's a good way to ruin the threads, but that's got a good amount of play in it. I'd hate for it to come loose when I was going down the road sometime, so better safe than sorry. Oh. Little double wrench persuasion here. There we go. I'll have to use the pickle fork on this one because I can't get on it to hit it hard enough with the hammer to drive it loose. There she goes. So here we have the tie rod. These are the tie rod ends, and the new one I have will replace this, and this is so that you can change the width of the front axle. You put this in these different slots, shorten and lengthen it. This one just threads into the end, and this one you use to adjust the wheel position so that your wheels aren't, you know, pointing in or pointing out. You want the front of the wheel to be about a 1/4 inch closer than the back of the wheel. So we'll go ahead and take these old ones off and put the new ones on, and then we can put the assembly back on the tractor. Tie rod number 2. This one's bent. Probably hit something working in the woods or something and bent it. So just while we're replacing this one too. But that one's got looseness in it just like the first one did. You can see it in there. The inside ones aren't as bad. Well, that one's pretty bad. So we'll take this out just like the other one, and then we can heat them both up at once. A little penetrating oil can never hurt. These ones might be hard to get off. Yeah. Put it in the vise and see if we can get a better grip on it. All else fails, we can always get the torch and heat it up. That'll loosen it. There she goes. Now we got to save this one, this bolt, to put in to lock in the new tie rod, so I'm not going to beat on the end of it with a hammer. I am going to use a piece of brass, which is softer than the steel that the bolt's made out of, and it won't deform the threads on the end. I'll leave the nut on a little bit out, so that protects the threads a little bit more. And of course, she's stuck. Now she moved a little bit. A better angle in here. There we go. Let's see if that works a little better. Yeah. She's getting there. "50 years of dirt and mud, rust." Now we got to get this out of this, and who knows how badly that's rusted in there and attached. That might require the torch as well to heat it up and get it loose. One end off. Took a bit of force, but it came off. Now we'll heat up the other end and see if we can drive it through. Didn't move.
What happened?
Line blew. That was that one where I noticed it was cracked.
Holy smolies. Scared the hell out of me.
Well, it took a lot of beating and heating to get these tie rods apart, but we finally did, and here are the old pieces. And so now we can take this bare tube and put the new pieces back into it for both of them. You can see I test fit one of them in there and it looks fine, so we'll go ahead and put the new pieces in the old, and then we can mount them back on the tractor and get the wheel spacing set. Put that in there. The other end's a little bit simpler. It's got this jam nut that I took off the old one. So first that has to go on. So we'll wait to final adjust these until we get it on the tractor and we see how the arm compares. Well, it's another day. It started raining as I was putting the tie rods back on, so I had to quit. So we're back at it this afternoon, and it shouldn't be too hard to finish it up, although as you can see, or as you have seen, these jobs on old tractors always take longer, and you run into things that you just didn't see coming. So it's good to set aside about twice as much time as you think it's going to take. So the key here is to get these set correctly so we have the right toe in on the wheels so that they track straight. So I'm going to have to do a measurement on the wheels, and we'll figure out if we're in the right spot now as far as the way the wheels are turned, and then we can adjust these arms via these threads to fit where this link is here, and then we'll be good to go. This usually takes a whole bunch of tries to get it right, but must be the tractor wants to get back to work, because I shoved the wheels around once. You have to do it when the wheels are pointing straight, and there used to be a mark that you would line up here and here that would tell you that the wheel is straight forward. But these have been welded on and repainted and all that, so the chisel marks are nowhere to be seen. So I just had to eyeball them, which is close enough. I don't use this tractor very much on the road, which is, I expect, where it would really make a difference. You know, we're just putting along in the field at 3 or 4 miles an hour, and usually on good dry ground it doesn't go through a lot of wintertime mud, so it should be fine. So one added difficulty is that the links here have been welded on. See, this originally had I believe it had a spline on it, and it fit down in, and that kept it from turning, but it worked loose over the years, so it got welded. Well, this one is pretty straight with relation to the wheel, but this one over here is not. See how it skews in that way, and that screws up the connection to the inside here, because it makes the distance shorter. Now, that may be why the old tie rod here that was on before was bent to take up that space. I have no idea, but it makes it a little more challenging to get everything aligned, and I'm going to have to figure out what I want to do with that. I think that what I'm going to have to do is, on this side only, move this in 1 notch so it shortens the whole thing. That way I'll have enough thread on that end to line things up, all because this is skewed. So we'll have 2 notches showing on this side and 3 notches showing on this side as it is. It's a little goofy, but really not noticeable unless somebody is taking a very careful look at it. So I shortened this by a notch. There's 2 here now. And now I have room to adjust this to the correct distance to go in that hole. In fact, it looks like it's pretty close the way it is now. Get the other side adjusted here. For some reason they provided lock nuts for this side, or the plastic locking mechanism, and then on the outside they're castellated nuts which you have to put a cotter pin in to lock. Goofy. Maybe 2 different manufacturers. Look at that. That one fits right up, and I didn't have to turn it in or out at all. The tractor gods are smiling on me today, unlike the other day, getting these darn things apart. There. So all we have to do now is tighten everything up. We'll start her up and turn the wheels and drive it a little bit and see if the wheels are in proper alignment. Just double check the measurements, and then we'll be good to go. You want to make sure that these are nice and tight, because if that tapered shaft rides loose in that tapered hole at all, then you wind up with a oblong tapered hole, and that is very difficult to fix. Well, let's take her for a spin and see how she drives. Well, that job took a lot longer than I thought it would. That happens with a lot of things here. It can be stressful unless you just say, well, tomorrow's another day and I won't need this tractor again until we start third cutting hay, which could be later this week, but it could also be next week or the week after. I just don't know what the weather's going to do yet. It's a good thing to get done, and I had a little gap in our schedule. Thanks for joining me, and I look forward to making many more videos about old tractors and their repair, as well as all the other aspects of life on the farm.